The afternoon sun cast a warm, golden glow through the tall windows of a quiet Philadelphia cafe. The soft hum of conversation blended with the gentle clinking of cups and saucers, creating a cozy and relaxed atmosphere. Barron Trump sat alone at a corner table, his tall frame slightly hunched over as he held a book in one hand and a cup of tea in the other. He had chosen a spot near the window, where he could occasionally glance outside at the bustling street, watching people go about their daily routines. His navy sweater and well-fitted jeans gave him a polished yet casual appearance, blending in with the crowd. The cafe was filled with students working on laptops, elderly couples enjoying their afternoon drinks, and groups of friends sharing laughter over pastries. The peaceful moment was suddenly shattered by a sharp and confrontational voice, cutting through the gentle chatter like a knife. "You sit here reading, sipping tea, while real people struggle to afford a meal?" A man in his 50s barked, his tone laced with frustration and resentment. His presence, once unnoticed, now dominated the room as heads turned in curiosity and concern. The cafe, once buzzing with casual conversations, fell into an eerie silence as all eyes shifted toward Barron. Even the barista behind the counter, who had been busy foaming milk for a cappuccino, froze mid-pour, the hiss of steam momentarily the only sound in the room. Some customers glanced at each other with wide eyes, while others leaned in, eager to see how the young man would react to such an unexpected confrontation. The tension in the air was almost tangible. The stranger, his face flushed with anger, took an assertive step forward, his gaze locked onto Barron like a challenge. "Do you even understand what it's like to work hard, to struggle for a living?" he demanded, his voice firm but trembling slightly with emotion. The weight of his words hung in the air, thick with decades of frustration, pain, and unspoken hardship. Some patrons looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seats, unsure whether they were witnessing a justified outburst or an unfair attack on someone they barely knew. The cafe, once a place of quiet refuge, now felt like the stage of an unfolding social debate, one that had caught everyone off guard. And before we continue, if you're enjoying this story and want to see more powerful and eye-opening moments like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Your support helps bring more incredible stories to life. Also, share your thoughts in the comments. What would you do in this situation? Barron set his book down, his gaze steady but kind. Instead of snapping back or calling for security, he did something no one expected. He gestured toward the empty seat across from him. "Would you like to sit down?" he asked, his voice calm. The man hesitated, thrown off by the invitation. He had expected defensiveness, maybe even arrogance, but not this. Slowly, he pulled out the chair and sat, still eyeing Barron with suspicion. "I don't know your story," Barron continued, "but I'd like to hear it." A murmur of surprise rippled through the cafe. The man blinked, as if trying to decide whether to continue his outburst or take this unexpected offer. Finally, with a sigh, he spoke. "My name is Tom," he said, his voice quieter now. "I lost my job last year. Been struggling to find work ever since. It's frustrating, seeing people born into privilege never having to worry about things like rent or medical bills." Barron listened intently, nodding. "That sounds incredibly difficult. I won't pretend to know what that feels like," he admitted, "but I do know what it's like to be judged before someone even speaks to me." Tom's shoulders relaxed slightly. "I don't control where I was born or who my family is," Barron continued, "but I do get to choose how I treat people. And I believe that listening, really listening, matters." Tom let out a breath, some of the tension leaving his face. For the first time, he looked at Barron not as a symbol of wealth, but as a young man willing to understand. Barron reached for his wallet, but instead of offering money, he slid his book across the table. "This book helped me see things differently. Maybe it can do the same for you." Tom stared at it, then at Barron. A slow nod of understanding passed between them. The cafe, once frozen in tense silence, now buzzed with a different kind of energy, one of reflection, of reconsideration. As Tom stood to leave, he extended a hand. Barron shook it firmly. "You surprised me, kid," Tom admitted with a small smile. Barron smiled back. People surprise me all the time. As Tom walked out of the cafe, those who had witnessed the exchange couldn't help but rethink their own assumptions. What had begun as a confrontation had turned into a lesson in empathy, one that none of them would soon forget. And if this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more stories that challenge perspectives and inspire deeper conversations. Comment below. What did you take away from this moment? How do you handle difficult situations like this? Let's discuss.